us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we've covered this again and again, so I don't want to repeat everything, but yesterday in that interview with Ainsley Earhardt, the president took more shots at Jeff Sessions. He's done that before. What seemed different and new was that the Attorney General fired back with that written statement saying he's not going to be driven by politics. Why, after all this time, did he feel the need to fire back?
Well, look, I think tweets are in one universe, but when the president is on national TV and is discussing the Department of Justice, if the Attorney General, I think, feels that the integrity and the effectiveness of the department that he oversees and the people that serve under him is being questioned, as a leader, he's going to speak out, and that's exactly what he did.
But does the president have a fair point when he tells Ainsley Earhardt and others, look, I'm under fire, I'm under investigation, and I look at the other side, the president says, and from the Hillary Clinton email server to Peter Strzok to James Comey's leaks, it doesn't appear that the Jeff Sessions Justice Department, which is basically the Trump Justice Department, is doing anything.
Well, I would disagree with that, and I think there's a couple of things you have to think about here. One, there are two types of people that work in the Department of Justice, right? There's political appointees, and then there's career appointees. It is very difficult to fire a career appointee. There is a ton of red tape involved, and if you don't get it right, you're going to end up in the appeals process. You could end up in court, and that person gets their job back.
Fair enough, pardon me, but that's one thing in terms of whether or not Peter Strzok or Andrew McCabe keeps his job. But what about the fact that the president is saying on his side of the ledger, people are pleading guilty, people are on trial, and yet there haven't been criminal charges against anyone when there have been all kinds of allegations of criminal activity? I understand about their jobs, but why have there not been any criminal charges brought against any of these people?
Well, first of all, I think one of the reasons why James Comey is no longer at the FBI is because he talked about ongoing investigations. Under this Department of Justice, they are not going to talk about ongoing investigations, publicly or in any other way. So we don't know what they're investigating, what they're looking at. Beyond that, there needs to be enough evidence for a grand jury to indict somebody. Whether there is in these other instances, I can't tell you. I'm not sitting there looking at any evidence, but I think we need to respect the rule of law. We need to respect the process.
Absolutely.
And we need to be very careful about doing things that might even appear to be political.
Two quick questions, very briefly. One, in fairness to the Attorney General, he named John Huber, that U.S. attorney out in Utah, as somebody who would be outside of politics, outside the Beltway, to look at Clinton and Strzok and all the rest. Fair enough, but we haven't heard from him. Are we going to hear from John Huber?
You know, I don't have any inside information on what, John Huber is doing right now, but I would assume that he's working hard. He's working diligently in tandem with the Inspector General. You have to remember the Inspector General obviously produced the report on the Clinton investigation, but he's currently looking at what happened with the beginning of the investigation into the president's campaign. So we will see what happens with that. I can't tell you when that's going to happen, but I do know that they will do a diligent and thorough job.
Last question. The other thing the president told Ainsley Earhardt is, why didn't the Attorney General at the beginning say, look, before you name me, because he knew during the transition he got tripped up by that Al Franken question, the Russia matter might be something he'd recuse himself on. Why didn't he give the president a heads up that he was going to recuse himself from the investigation?
Well, a few things here. First of all, the investigation was not public when the Attorney General was confirmed. Second, if you go back to the Attorney General's confirmation hearing, he was asked the question, if there was a hypothetical investigation into the president, would you recuse yourself? The Attorney General said he would consult with the proper ethics officials and make a decision based on that. When he got into the Department of Justice, when he was debriefed on what was going on, he talked to the proper ethics officials and he made a judgment call based on that. Now, the president certainly has a right to disagree, but that's where we are.
Right. And Lindsey Graham, Republican senator, says that maybe after the midterms there'll be a new Attorney General. We'll see how that plays out. Ian Prior, we appreciate you coming in to face tough questions today, and good luck as you leave the Justice Department now.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.